2 Tickets to Paradise.
Welcome to Crosstown Cardboard episode 70 with myself, Carmine at Carmine's Cards, the sports storyteller down here in Greenville, South Carolina, but originally from Ossining, New York, Sing Sing Stand Up, and my wonderful co-host, Craig at New York City Sports Cards, the math teacher, the soccer coach. He's got the slick back hair and the slicked eyebrows. He's ready to roll, and he is originally from Long Island. Now he's in the heart of New York City, which, of course, like most of our episodes, has a tie-in to this one, which we're calling 2 Tickets to Paradise. Shout out to Eddie Money, the artist who created that song way back when. Dollar signs abound. And before we get into episode 70, which you might have guessed is all about tickets, card tickets, a new lane of the hobby for me, which is just tickets, we wanted to have a big thank you and a round of applause to Caitlin Cold Lunch Cards for coming on as a guest on the last episode of Crosstown Cardboard. That episode got a lot of feedback, a lot of traction, a lot of views, interaction on YouTube and all the podcast platforms, lots of plays. So thanks to Caitlin, her story on collecting Anthony Bourdain and the connection with her father to make her want to collect Anthony Bourdain, and then getting her grail and the journey to do that, which we all can relate to, pursuing a card, is a great episode. So if you haven't checked that one out, definitely check that out on YouTube and any podcast platforms. But Craig, you are on a roll. You're on a Jalen Brunson level roll of coming up with these titles. What inspired you to come up with this one for episode 70, 2 Tickets to Paradise?
2 Tickets to Paradise because I know you are in this little buying streak lately of getting tickets. Mm-hmm. But the 2 tickets part is we're taking tickets from a different angle. You're going to actually talk about ticket stubs. I have a little bit of experience with that, but I'm taking the ticket approach as it relates to cards themselves. And we're going to do a little history lesson and discuss some of my favorite products growing up that centered around tickets. Now, this is episode 70. When I think of 70, I think of Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa chasing the home run record. And here we are chasing our passion. So it's really just one and the same.
And really, this is, I mean, every episode is a record for us because it's we're adding on, so this is, I mean, it's pretty similar to the milestone of Sosa and McGwire hitting 70 home runs, and we're hitting 70 episodes.
Right on. So do you want to just talk about a ticket that you got and what made you decide to start buying some tickets, and where do you even begin with that?
Yeah. I wish I could say my first ticket was revolving around the big ticket, Kevin Garnett. That would be pretty cool, maybe one day. But the first ticket I got, I've been kind of studying on the outside, looking in on the ticket market, just because we're following a lot of Instagram accounts. We're in sports, cards, of course. It'd be difficult to have a podcast if we were not. But just the little niche areas that I've kind of been looking at, and following some content like Darren Ravel, and he's going through on Jeff Wilson's YouTube, and he's going through his memorabilia and ticket collection. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty cool that this guy is collecting this memorabilia and has so much history attached to it. So I've been doing research on the outside, looking in and thinking about, what if I were to get a ticket? What would that look like? And following some Instagram accounts, being like, you know what? That's cool. So I started looking on eBay, and I'm looking at, okay, well, where would I start? Larry Bird and Magic Johnson tickets. That seems like a logical first step because those are my 2 main guys in cards. So I started looking, I'm thinking about their iconic career moments. And I started thinking, okay, well, I remember, even though neither one of us was born yet, 1992, the NBA All-Star game, when Magic that season had been forced to leave the NBA because he got HIV. Everybody thought, of course, that he was going to pass away soon because at that time there was no real treatment for it. And, he was on the forefront of that. And, of course, having the extra dough to pay for the treatment helped. So then come, February of that year, and then the big controversy of him playing in the All-Star game. People are wondering, will they get HIV if, there's some type of infection passed on? And then, he wins the All-Star game MVP, has those threes at the end. pumps his fist. And then by the end of the game, what a moment. Everybody's crowded all around him, congratulating him for coming back. And then, he has the iconic moment holding up the MVP trophy, which I actually have a t-shirt of, which if I was planning better, I would have worn. But I got this ticket from eBay from that game, the Orlando All-Star game in 1992, February 9th.
Great year.
And it's autographed by Magic.
Oh.
No grade on the ticket itself, but a 10 grade on the auto.
Cool.
And it's funny because I was looking at this on eBay and I'm like, oh, that's a great ticket. So I messaged the person who had the ticket and I said, hey, here's my Instagram. If you can find me on there, like we've talked about eBay, if they were listening, probably wouldn't like that. That's why they try to block your messages.
Screenshot. You could send a screenshot. Is that what you did?
Oh, no, I didn't do that, but I put IG.
Yeah.
Find me on IG or something like that. And the guy found me, and he's one of the, come to find out, he posts like 10 tickets on his Instagram per day. And he does it full time. So it's really interesting that he was telling me he went from being having car dealerships to 4 years ago getting into this full time. And he really gave me an education on a lot of the ticket questions I had. Because once I realized he did it full time, I started asking him, oh, well, how do you value it? And what do you look at? And I know there are not really any comps on this. So how do you come up with a value? And he was giving me some good insight on that. So I ended up getting this ticket for $300. But it's funny because I got an education myself after I bought it and found out that this is a commemorative ticket. So it was printed the same year in 1992, but it was never meant as a ticket to actually get into the game. So that makes it less valuable because, the real ticket, you're really there. It's kind of like game used versus player worn almost in a sense. So I found that out the hard way because I had put my money in, but I said, I can't stay on the sideline forever. The only way I'm really going to learn is if I put a small investment into this niche part of the ticket hobby, and then I'll have a real skin in the game. If I go to sell this, then I'll know what the market is for that. And I'll be able to educate myself much more by having a small, participation is required, having a small stake in it, and now getting to learn from the inside looking out rather than the outside looking in. So this is my first ticket that I bought about a week and a half ago.
Okay. Now, as far as the commemorative tidbit is concerned, because I experienced this when many episodes ago, I purchased the 1988 NBA All-Star Game ticket, and it was in that like plastic holder. So I took it out, carefully removed it, graded, and made a few $100 profit. The key is looking at the section and the row. If it's a very random like section and row and seat, it's legitimate. I think that one just says VIP on the bottom.
Yeah, it says VIP. It says row 94 of seat 1000. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that's the tell. But
okay. I mean, it also said, commemorative in the title on eBay.
Okay, fair enough.
The seller was not trying to dupe anybody. It was just I didn't really know what the difference was, and I didn't really know like how important that was in the value. I mean, I still think it was a good deal. This is exactly what the last one sold for, which was from this guy, but the buyer didn't end up paying. So at least there's a solid comp for $300. So, I mean,
I would imagine with tickets, again, very, very inexperienced in this field, that if you're looking to purchase or grade a ticket by itself, no autograph, you want the real thing, not the commemorative. I feel as though with the autograph, I cannot imagine there's many signed Magic tickets from that All-Star game, even the commemorative one. I could be wrong, but I would think that's low pop. Is that a card you just want to keep in your collection, bring it to shows? What do you think?
Yeah, it is. It is low pop, and that is actually funny you mentioned that because that's generally the feel of the ticket market as a whole. The things are just low pop in general. I mean, of course, you'll have a range of pop, depending on what ticket, what grade, and those things. But compared to cards, I mean, they're so much more rare and scarce, which is a really interesting, and how you try to value that based on there being none or very few comps. As far as keeping this in my collection, now that I know it's commemorative, I'm less inclined to do that. But I think when we set up at Culture Collision, especially with that being a big NBA basketball, and it is Culture Collision, there's going to be a lot of interest in like retro items and stuff like this, that maybe I'll put this in the case, even though it does take up a lot of room, just to catch some eyes, start some conversations, and maybe make a sale on it. Nice. So I'm not like, this is in my PC forever type of thing. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what the level of intrigue is for an item like this that you don't see very often, and like how easy that would be to move, to sell, to trade, to start conversations, get people to look in our showcase. So we'll have to see.
I think the reason I haven't really picked up many tickets is this is just my sad life as a New York sports fan, is there's not that many memorable games. For like, if I could find, let's say, a Larry Johnson 4-point play ticket, that would be super cool. Me having been at that game in 2000, that would be 1999. That would be unbelievable.
Yeah,
but I've flipped a couple tickets before, but I think you kind of nailed it, is what's significant about that event, that being that All-Star game that Magic came back from sickness. I mean, you had the right idea there.
Yeah, like an iconic moment. That's what I'm looking for with these tickets. You could get one for Carmelo Anthony scoring 62 points January 24th, 2014. That'd be a cool one.
A cool one would be like a Mike Piazza from the ticket when he came back from 9/11. He hit that home run.
There you go.
What I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Speaking of Mike Piazza and tickets.
Oh my gosh, you segued yourself, you dirty dog.
So this is the angle I want to take with this episode. You're talking about tickets. I want to talk about cards still from a ticket perspective. Okay. So I was at my local card shop on Friday, as I do. I walked 12 minutes to the card shop. I do a little schmoozing, buy a few things. And I came across this card, brought me back to my earlier days as collecting.
Okay.
2003, Fleer Authentics. Are you familiar with that set?
I know you like that set.
I do. Mike Piazza game-worn jersey with a little piece of ticket stub.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, the ticket stub isn't like a used real ticket or anything.
Yeah, that would be a pretty small ticket.
Correct. I am going to get into some other sets that have real tickets, but I do want to just talk about this one for a second, because I think I allude to a lot in the show. They don't make things like they used to anymore. I was a big fan of Fleer products growing up in the mid-2000s. So me being a Mets fan, and I found this 2003 Fleer Authentics Mike Piazza game-worn jersey swatch with a little piece of fake ticket, but from a real game. Mets Cubs, March 31st, 2003.
Okay.
And I'm a Mets fan, so this was a cool one. So I did a little deep dive into, I remember opening Fleer Authentics. So if you go to DA Card World, they have every product, maybe not necessarily for sale, but for you to look into. And they made Fleer Authentics for basketball, football, and baseball. So they made Fleer Authentics football 2002, 2003, 2004. Basketball, they made it 2001, 2002, 2003, which was the LeBron Dwayne Wade year,
right,
and 04, 05. Baseball, 2002, 3, 4, and 5. And all these packs were like 24 packs a box. You would get a few memorabilia cards, an autograph card, and I just thought it was a really fun set. So I was doing a little bit of a deeper dive, like how do you find cards that are going to maintain value over time, even from like that kind of random era? 0304, Fleer Authentics basketball, LeBron James rookie cards, Dwayne Wade autograph rookie cards. Here's one I think you're really
don't forget our guy Carmelo.
Of course, yes. But Wade had autograph cards in the set. LeBron didn't. Here was a cool discovery, and this is a card I would like to find in the wild.
Okay.
Fleer Authentics. Again, same set as this Mike Piazza jersey pickup. They did 1 year of WNBA Fleer Authentics.
Interesting. Okay.
In 2002 Fleer Authentics WNBA, Sue Bird had a rookie card, and it numbered out of 2002. So that was a fun discovery for me. So if you're not familiar with this product, do a little deep dive. Go to YouTube and watch some box breaks of Fleer Authentics from the year 2001 to 2005. It was a fun part of the hobby for me. And I'm willing to bet a lot of our listeners are OGs and remember that. And a lot of listeners probably have no idea what Fleer Authentics is until I brought it up at this moment.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's great. That Sue Bird that's so cool when you take a deep dive into something and then you realize, oh, well, I would really like to pick up a card like this that you previously had no idea about before. I mean, you knew about the set, but you didn't know that was Sue Bird's rookie. That's great. On the Seattle Storm.
Yep.
WNBA champ.
PSA 10 in the Sue Bird rookie from 2002 Fleer Authentics. Numbered out 2002. A Pop 24 has not sold since March 2023, where it sold for almost $1,800.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Who
would have thought $1,800 for a Sue Bird rookie? But at the same time, is there even another rookie card? Is that her only rookie card? I mean, it could be. We have to do some more research probably on that, but
yeah, I don't think it is, but it's a cool one because it's numbered. So yeah, I would love to find a Fleer Authentics box in the wild, just to rip.
And plus, if that's the only year,
yep,
that's iconic for the WNBA.
Now, there was another product I want to talk about. Again,
hold on, wait. I had a question for you about the Mike Piazza. Anything significant that happened in that game that the tickets from?
So March. It's funny because I actually did look this up yesterday, and I should have been more prepared. But I know they played the Cubs. I know it was a legitimate game, and according to Baseball Reference, the Mets got smoked, 15-2. 15-2. It was opening day, so that's a cool thing about it.
Oh, 15-2. Oh, opening day. That's cool.
At Shea Stadium, there were 54,000 people that showed up. And Mike Piazza went 1 for 4. So nothing too significant about it. However, if you go look at another product, and I remember opening packs of this, 2007 Topps TX exclusive, TX meaning tickets. Go watch a YouTube box break of 2007 Topps TX football. Super cool product where the boxes had actual, I'm pretty sure these were legitimate Super Bowl ticket stubs.
Wow.
And you can get autographs. So imagine a Tom Brady card with a piece of the ticket and then a sticker autograph right on the ticket. I mean, these are the types of products you just don't see anymore. But still, we're talking that early, mid-2000s card products centered around tickets. So you got Fleer Authentics, which came in baseball, basketball, football. You have 07 Topps TX, which is a fun rip. Autographs, jersey cards, and exclusive Super Bowl relic and autograph cards in the product, in the pack. So I thought that was a fun deep dive to get into. Just reminded me of, growing up, the types of products that I enjoyed opening.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a lot of fun. And I was just thinking that I was only going to talk about tickets because I have a couple more.
Yeah, get into it.
I've really been like you mentioned the word deep dive. I've really been deep diving into the ticket area. But since you mentioned the cards, I wanted to just bring back these ticket related cards that I got from the National. I don't know if you remember these ones, Craig, from the first time we actually met in person, but I picked up 2 Leaf tickets. I think this was like $15 total between these 2 tickets. One of them was a Damian Lillard Portland Trailblazers playoff ticket from a few seasons ago from Leaf. And then the other one was February 2nd, 2016, the New York Knicks hosting the Boston Celtics. So that was pretty cool that, you mentioned the card related tickets. And I got 2 right here from the National that it just reminded me of, which, there's no sense in moving it because, first of all, you can't get much for them. And then secondly, they're just cool memories from the National and 2 teams that are significant to me for living in Oregon and then, of course, being a lifelong Knicks fan. So let me get into this other ticket that I got.
Can I show you one thing real quick?
Oh, yeah.
It's just on that same subject. Now,
yeah.
from 2007 Topps TX. I mean, how cool of a card is this? You could see Super Bowl, right, with the ticket stub, the information. It is an authentic Super Bowl ticket stub, and then Brady sticker autograph, but still right on the card. I mean, how cool would that be to get? You don't see that in products nowadays.
No, that is unique, 100%.
So I appreciated when companies would use tickets as like the centerpiece of a particular product. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. It brings you real close to the game, and it's just a unique, and it becomes a memorabilia item to a level that a normal card probably wouldn't be. What did that sell for? Do you know? I'm interested.
So there was one that sold in September, Tom Brady Super Bowl relic for $2,800 in a BGS 7.5. So some of those holds good value.
Yeah, that's not crazy expensive. I mean, for a Tom Brady auto
and Super Bowl ticket.
Yeah, seems like a decent.
Hey, this is a cool one. Again, this one sold for $1,300 in a PSA 6, same set. Like, if you think about what Tom Brady autographs sell for, like, take a look at old Topps products like this. I don't know. I think that's a cool one.
Yeah, I think that's a great value at what did you say that was? 1,300?
1,300, yeah.
Wow, that seems like a good deal.
You can get Brian Dawkins. I saw a Brian Dawkins signed
Clemson's finest.
I mean, look, if you're a big Eagles fan, how cool is that card for $200?
Oh, wow.
Brian Dawkins, Super Bowl ticket stub, signed it on the stub, sticker on it. Granted, still something different to look at. And
you're telling me that's a real Super Bowl ticket?
Yeah, to my understanding, yes. Trying to find
that's really cool. Right, we got to let the cousins know. We got to tell Cousin Oz and Cousin Tony. Oh, you know what was interesting? I just on the topic of Cousin Oz, of course, the People's Mailman. We had him on to talk about getting his Iverson Grail a few weeks back. And I sent him a ticket, Craig, because I saw on the same page on Instagram of the guy who I got this Magic Johnson 1992 NBA All-Star Game ticket. He posted a ticket autographed by Allen Iverson from Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Sixers against the Lakers, the only game they won. But that's okay. They were obviously huge underdogs against the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. But it was the step-over game also, and it said it. I love the PSA label, and you mentioned this actually too when you got, I think, a ticket graded, and you said that you wish that you would have told them exactly what you wanted to put on the ticket on the PSA label because they would have done it. And on the PSA label, it said like Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Allen Iverson step over game, and Allen Iverson autographed the ticket. Allen Iverson, and then he also put step over game.
That's awesome.
As an inscription.
Yeah, that's cool.
Of course, when he hit the jumper, stepped over Tyronn Lue, and it was an iconic moment because he kind of owned him, whatever. I mean, they lost the final, so Tyronn Lue had the last laugh. But on that shot, it was like, oh, this guy's a dog, So I thought that was cool. Bring you close to the history of the game. So my off days now, Craig, getting back into my ticket deep dive, are Wednesday and Thursday. So I saw that one of my coworkers did a story on a local card store opening up 3 months ago. She was so excited because everybody at the station knows that I collect cards. So she said, oh, you got to watch this story. So I watched it and I said, I kind of lodged that in the Rolodex up here. And I said, I got to stop by that card store one day. So I finally had a little bit of time and remembered to stop by. So I went to Brian's Sports Cards and More.
And more. It's like Bed Bath and Beyond.
Right, yeah.
What's the
and
Beyond?
The Beyond turned out to be tickets. So it's here in Greenville, South Carolina. It's Brian_sports_cards. So give my guy a follow. Great guy. Matty Rich is his name. He's from Albany, New York, coincidentally. So another New Yorker down here in the South. So anyway, I watched that piece that my coworker had done on the card store opening up, get a little, research backstory on where this guy's coming from, strike up a conversation much more easily. So I walked in, shook his hand. I said, hey, Brian. Well, his name's not actually Brian. He named the card store after his dad, which is also cool. But his name's Matty. I said, hey, Matty, nice to meet you. I work at Fox Carolina. Saw the piece on you, knew I had to come in. So we're talking. and we talked for about half an hour. He showed me this really cool poster from Mike Tyson's second ever career fight in Albany or in upstate New York somewhere. And his dad was a bar owner. And his dad had this stack of Mike Tyson promotional posters that he hung up in the bar and gave out to people. But Mike Tyson was, of course, nothing at the time in just his second ever pro fight. So he was telling me, this is a side story, but he was telling me this story about his dad had like 30 of these posters for Mike Tyson's second fight and took him to the dumpster, just threw them out. And then his dad was like walking away from the dumpster and he thought, you know what, let me just save one of these. So his dad, Brian, saved one from the dumpster, put it in his trunk of his car. So fast forward a few years later, Mike Tyson's blowing up, and then becoming the heavyweight champ, of course. This guy's got a poster from his second ever fight, and it was just rattling around in his trunk for years, like tire marks. It has like black, brown, rust, like all over the poster. So he gave it to his son, who now has it displayed in his card store named after his dad. And I looked at Maddie. I'm like, I'm guessing that's not for sale. He's like, yeah, that's not for sale.
I can't imagine many of those posters exist.
No, he was like, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, because even just to have those given out, you'd have to be some type of promotional, maybe a restaurant, a bar like his dad owned. And then to keep one, which his dad almost didn't. I just thought that was kind of a cool sports memorabilia story. And now he has it hanging up in his sports card store. So anyway, so we're chopping it up, having conversations like that. And I'm like, oh, how's business? He said it's packed in there. And I'm looking around in the showcase, not many things that I really liked. There's a lot of modern football, modern basketball, understandable because he's got to sell stuff and that's stuff that moves quick, and a lot of wax. And then I came across a ticket and I'm like, I'm a ticket guy. Yeah. I'm an aspiring ticket guy.
That's better.
So I said, all right. And this was the ticket. The 2019 National Championship game for college football, in which Clemson beat Alabama 44-16. Blowout for Clemson's second college football playoff national championship in a 3-year span. They won it in 2017 and this one 2019, both over Alabama. So I said, what are you asking on that? He's like, oh, that's $200. I said, wow, that seems pretty fair. I said, how long has that been in your showcase? He said, since we opened. I said, what? We're in Clemson territory here. We're 45 minutes from Clemson. And there's a lot of South Carolina Gamecocks fans too, but this is a Clemson Tigers area and a college football crazed like fandom, every sports bar on Saturdays. It's nuts. So I'm like, for $200, how can this ticket from the national championship game in a PSA 8 stay in your case for 3 months? He's like, I have no idea. And I'm like, that seems ridiculous. It just reinforced that the ticket market to me is so undervalued and underappreciated right now. And maybe it'll stay that way, but I think that it has a huge room to run. I'm also treating this as an investment. And, I'm not trying to pump tickets, because I don't, first of all, I don't have enough money in them to make that make sense, but this is just the lane that I'm going down. And so I said, wow, that's strange. And meanwhile, I see these 40-year-old guys at the same time buying Prism hobby boxes, however much they are, $500 to $1,000, and getting $25, $75 in return worth of cards that they ripped. I'm like, you mean to tell me just because you have a different form of ticket, a lottery ticket, by buying these boxes, that's going to supersede having a super cool piece of sports memorabilia that you can hold on to forever, of probably a team that is one that you've rooted for and your family roots for still to this day? But just because you would rather take a chance, you're going to spend 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as much money on a thrill for 10 minutes that you're not going to, there's a 90% chance you're not going to get your money back. I would just baffled.
Probably higher than that, but I get it.
Yeah, I was just baffled that, about what, I mean, you could spend your money on of course, whatever you want. But, it was just interesting to notice that at the moment. So I said, well, I'm going to definitely come back and get this ticket for $200. That seems like very reasonable. I looked it up on Terapeak on eBay. You know how you can go back further. And the last one sold for $180 with like $15 shipping. And again, this is a PSA 8. But when I scanned the back of the label, I saw that it was a Pop 4 with none higher. And I looked at Maddie after scanning the label. I'm like, are you serious? This is ridiculous. To me, it just seems so crazy that, first of all, nobody bought this for $200 while we're in Clemson territory. And second, that it's only valued at $200 when it's a Pop 4, none higher, of the last Clemson football national championship. It just seemed like it should be worth more to me. So I went back home. I said, Maddie, I'll be back in 15 minutes. Grabbed some cards for trade, brought them back, and he accepts. I said, what percentage of comps do you accept, for trade value? He said 70%, which I know Bleecker does 80%. But I thought that was relatively fair to still, work something out. So I brought some cards back. He took 6 cards. Long story short, a David Wright Mets autograph was in that bunch. And I just added $50 of cash, got the deal done, bam. And I came home with this memorabilia item from a team in Clemson football that I just finished the first season of me covering them. So it was kind of a cool way for me to remember that season also.
Yeah. Partial trades rule.
Yeah.
I love nothing like a good half cash, half trade type of deal. No, it's a great pickup. As you said, you've been trying to grow your Clemson collection.
Yeah.
Very nice. I like that. I don't know if you've set up at a show in South Carolina, but that feels like something that would do really well if you ever get that opportunity, unless, of course, it's a ticket for your collection that you want to keep.
Right.
You got options.
Right.
Cool.
Very cool. So I think that's one, because it's so close to the heart, that I'm going to keep. And it's, from the championship, a team I cover. It's only a Pop 4, none higher, and a PSA 8. And then also 10 minutes after getting home from getting that ticket, guess what happened? Nick Saban announced his retirement. And Nick Saban was the coach on the losing side of this game.
Yeah, word got out. You purchased that ticket. That was Saban's final straw. He's like, I can't do this anymore.
Right. He's like, that's it. This guy got a memorabilia item in South Carolina. Time to hang it up.
Nice. Can I talk about one more ticket product?
Yeah, of course.
Again, this is mid-2000s. I loved opening products then when 18, 24 packs a box. So you get game used memorabilia cards. And there was a product I remember opening. It was from 2009. They did it for 1 year. It was a baseball product. It was called Topps Ticket to Stardom. There were 20 packs in a box, 11 cards per pack, and you got 3 ticket relics or autographs per box. So I was just looking up this was a product I enjoyed opening, but if you're a collector, what type of stuff exists out there? And I actually found there was a sale on eBay for an Albert Pujols ticket stub from kind of a random game in 2008 with a game-worn jersey and a BGS 8.5, and it's a true 101, and that sold for, on auction on eBay, $217.
Okay.
So I went back to the product and I said, okay, well, let's see what else is out there. You think there's a lot of Manny Ramirez fans out there?
Yeah.
I would think so too. Take a look at this card that's just sitting on eBay right now. 2009, again, Topps Ticket to Stardom. Manny Ramirez, piece of the game used bat with that ticket stub from August 2008. And you see on the back, true 101.
Wow.
That card is just sitting on eBay at a $150, buy it now, or best offer. Anything significant about that game? The Dodgers did win 9-3, and Manny Ramirez did go 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a home run.
Wow.
So that's cool. And I'm just like, wow, think about what all these junk modern cards are selling for. And here we've got a 101 Manny Ramirez ticket stub, game used relic, just sitting on eBay for $150 or best offer. And it just made me realize if you go back to those mid-2000s products, there's a lot to be found out there. So 2009 Topps Ticket to Stardom is a fun product to look at. And it just makes me realize between these products that I've mentioned, the Leaf product that you had, your love for tickets, we need a product out there that is centered around tickets because it would make for great trading. Somebody in Tennessee opens a pack of this and they open a Knicks ticket and they pull like some sort of Knicks or Mets relic. And I open a product here and I open some sort of ticket relic from a Titans game. What a perfect opportunity that would be to trade.
Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah.
It's a big opportunity. What do you think about, before I get into my final ticket pickup, even though we've already talked about 2 tickets, I have 3 tickets to Paradise, I guess, but
we'll let it go.
Thank you. That's really thoughtful. What do you think about the room that tickets has to run, like as far as the potential for an increase in value? And here's my laying the groundwork before hearing your opinion. The scarcity and rarity of the tickets compared to cards is much greater. And for almost every event that you go to in the current day, you don't get a ticket. You don't get something you can hold in your hand. It's all on the phone, especially after COVID. You know, the mixture of the technology increase and the COVID, you know, decreasing anything, changing hands, money, tickets, anything like that. Now you go to a concert, a game, you just scan the barcode on your phone and you don't really get a ticket. So the supply has been cut off for the future. And I can't think, like, imagine if all of a sudden you're not making on-card autos anymore. The on-card auto market, you would think, would increase because the demand is staying the same and the supply is being cut off. So what do you think about the potential increase in the ticket market for the future?
When you think about it from a collector standpoint, I think the same issue you would have with someone else, like I said, is you need something that's significant to you. No, there's only so many games and moments in sports that for me, I really want to remember and like look at and commemorate. If you look at it from a market standpoint, buying and selling, well, then what tickets have liquidity?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing to consider. Notable All-Star games, like the All-Star game ticket I had was from Michael Jordan's second All-Star game. There's something significant about that if you're a Jordan collector. For you, are there enough Clemson fans out there? So I'm just trying to think of liquidity in the ticket market the same way you would in cards. Are there tickets that are more liquid than others? I don't know, something to consider.
Yeah. And plus, another factor that gets in the way and could scare people away, just the sheer size. You know, our buddy Caitlin, who we had on, we mentioned last episode, Cold Lunch Cards, she calls these lunch trays because they're so big and bulky and you can almost put your lunch on them.
Makes sense.
And, you know, if you're watching on the YouTube, I'm holding it like a lunch tray and I feel like I could have a salami and cheese on this sucker right now. So charcuterie, right. Get a little wine going. But seriously, to transport these, if you're looking in your Zion case, it's difficult. I mean, I tried to put it in my case and it spans 3 rows of cards and I think I can fit it in there, but it's like, it's kind of a hassle to transport. So if you think about that, if you're selling to a dealer or even just another person, it's going to be a challenge to transport these things. And then also to display them in your showcase, it takes up the room that like 5 cards would take. So that's another factor. And then, like you said, what is the iconic moment of this team, of this player? And is that something that other people will also be interested in? So those are definitely factors. And then having no comps is a gift and a curse, as we both know, because no comps, you can set your own price. Maybe somebody will pay it, but also no comps, you don't have the security of saying, here's what the last one sold for. And so I feel like if I pay that price, I could get that price if I went to sell it.
I think that works for you and I. I don't think you and I really sell the most liquid type of cards.
Right.
Stuff that you don't really see as much. So that might work for you. Personally, being in New York City, not having a ton of space, those not fitting in my Zion cases, I'm probably staying away from tickets. If I had a little more space to work with and I was setting it more often, that's definitely something I would look into.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of New York City, my last ticket, Craig, 3 tickets I picked up since the last dual episode we had 2 weeks ago and now. So I've really been doing a good amount of research and trying to get into this new market just because I feel like it has an element of sports history that's way closer to the game, way more passionate as far as an individual moment, not more passionate in general, but just from a one game, it takes you right to that one game, right to that one moment in a way that almost every card can't, because it's not, unless it's a signature move card or it's an impeccable moment, or, you know, one of those type of things where it says, you know, like my Larry Bird 1986 Finals MVP, that takes you right to that moment. Most cards don't, but tickets do. So the last one that I'll show you, the third and final ticket I picked up, and I mentioned this one, was from Michael Jordan's final game at Madison Square Garden. Wizards against the Knicks, 2003. The Knicks won this one 97-96, but a 40-year-old Michael Jordan scored 39 points in the Garden. He had 26 in the first half at 40 years old, knowing this would be the last game he would ever play in one of his favorite places to play. And he always said, if you're going to be a baller, you got to perform in New York, which of course he did. I think he has 3 50-point games in the Garden, and then a 39-point game at 40 years old to finish off his career in New York. I just thought that was awesome.
Now, that is a type of ticket I would like in my collection.
Ah, yes.
You got me there. Like Michael Jordan, MSG. What does it say on the label?
It says 2003 New York Knicks / March 9th, NYK 97, Washington 96 / Michael Jordan last game in New York - MSG. And I'll zoom in on it so you can see it on the YouTube here.
And I think that label in itself, the fact that it says like Michael Jordan last game, that makes it so cool.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it on here. When you grade a ticket, you have to specify what you want it to say. Without that, it's almost like night and day. So the fact that it says it on there, so you don't have to ask questions, you know the significance of that ticket, that game, that's cool.
True. And anybody who might be interested in buying that would immediately know by looking in your showcase without having to ask any questions. So that was super cool. I put out 200 cash, a $50 LaDainian Tomlinson autograph. So I'm into that for $250. It's a PSA 6, but it's a pop 1, none higher.
Awesome.
So I thought that was cool. There was a raw one, and that was the only other one I could find. A raw ticket, which I think it was either VIP or courtside, so that made it cooler, but it was in raw condition, that sold for $150 from the same game. So I'm like, okay, this isn't a PSA slab. Even though it's a 6, it is a pop 1 with none higher, so it's the highest graded. I'm like, $250 seems reasonable.
Goodbye.
So thanks, bro. I felt
Jordan last game in MSG. Yeah, I think there would be a market for that. Easy.
Yeah. And now what can I ask for that? If you think about it, if I was to go sell it, I mean, I think it's cool enough to keep in your collection, as you know, both of us being Knicks fans, but like, I feel like you could easily ask $500 for that.
Jordan last game MSG.
It's the highest graded. You know, nobody knows what I paid for it. I mean, I guess they do now, putting it out on crosstown cardboard, but
there's
unlikely that they listen to it.
There's one on eBay for $1,000, and it's raw. His last game as a Bull at MSG in 1998. That's different. Yeah, I don't really see much out there, so that's nice. Good find. Yeah. Good find.
Thanks, bro. Yeah. So it was interesting. So just trying to dip my toe into the water. Now I have 200 invested with the Clemson 2019 national championship over Alabama, 300 from the commemorative 1992 All-Star game for the NBA with the Magic Johnson autograph, PSA 10 grade. The Clemson ticket is a PSA 8, pop 4, none higher. And now I have the ticket from Madison Square Garden and Michael Jordan's last game at MSG in a PSA 6, pop 1, none higher. So I have $750 invested into the ticket market in it's a little bit concerning how fast this interest has happened, but I think it's just very cool and a new niche to go down. But $750 invested in my hopefully several tickets to Paradise over the course of about a week and a half. and I feel good about it. It's like reinvigorated not that it was gone, as far as, of course, we're doing this every week and we love the cards and the people in the hobby, but it's given me a different juice, a new lane to be excited to pursue with these tickets that is kind of fun, a different avenue to go down.
Variety is the spice of life.
There you go.
Yeah. And let's not forget, as you're talking about making safe investments with your tickets, let's also make sure we talk about safety when it comes to driving. Click it or ticket,
Wow, that was good. Another teachable moment from the teacher.
One pickup that I want to share, because I just think it's really cool, from 2018 Panini. It's a set called Team Tandems. It's a dual on-card autograph set, but it's kind of random because in 2018, they put it in Panini Illusions. In 2022, they put it in Panini 1. But dual on-card autograph, look at this. Teddy Bruschi and Ty Law.
Very cool.
Definitely for a Patriots fan in an SGC 9510. Dude, I paid $85 for this.
Wow. And it's on card?
Dual on card.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for a Patriots fan, I could easily see that going for double.
Yeah. That's it. That's really, I have other pickups, but there's just one I wanted to share. So yeah, if you're a football fan, look up Team Tandems. It's kind of hard to follow because it didn't come from one particular set.
Huh. Yeah, that's cool. Well, speaking of, just go through a couple card pickups, get back to the basics of what we do. And speaking of tandems, I actually have 4 guys on one card. It's the Ultimate Collection Ultimate Foursome out of 2008 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection Football. Nice. And it's a quad game used card. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tony Romo, Ben Roethlisberger. And what do you think I paid for this?
$125.
I paid $90 for it, which I felt pretty good about. There haven't been any sales in at least a year of this one. It's even though it's numbered out of 50. But with these older sets, it's much more difficult to find than the current stuff. And I think the last one sold for like $150, and before that, like $225. So this is something to put in the case at Culture Collision in a couple weeks, or I guess a week and a half by the time this episode comes out.
Week and a half.
And get some interest. I know. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you again.
Let me tell you, let's do more of a Culture Collision like build up next week's episode. But I am trying to prove with my inventory, you're going to see that you could buy some really cool, unique, rare cards for under $100.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And that's what mine was for $90.
Exactly.
So
we'll get into that next week. But yeah.
And last one. This Jerry Rice flawless on-card auto, numbered out of 10, with one photo of him in the 49ers jersey, one in the Raiders, and then his Hall of Fame bust in the middle in a PSA 10 with a 10 auto, numbered out of 10. Wow. It's a pop 1.
Damn. That's a big card.
Yeah, it is kind of a big card, right?
Well, so that's from Flawless, you said?
Flawless, yeah. Last sold on this for $560. I got it from my buddy Trent for $525, which for something like this, which I felt that $560 sale was very cheap. For something like this, I'll pay, 90% of comps, 95% of comps, just because what a great trade bait, and then if you feel like the sale was low, like the raw ones of this are going for flawless Jerry Rice autos out of 10 are going for like $375, $400, $425, $350 in that range. So I'm like, a PSA 1010 and having it be a pop 1, even though for flawless the grade isn't super important, but it does matter. And especially if it's a PSA 10 with a 10 auto making it a pop 1, I'm like, probably ask like $750 for this and see what happens. Maybe it'll be a trade thing at one of the trade nights at Culture Collision, or somebody could come along and buy it. But it's something that strikes you like, wow, that's a real, for a football fan, a Jerry Rice fan, or a 49ers and Raiders fan, this might be something that would end up in your collection as a marquee, nice piece. So just kind of the framework, teasing our episode of, that'll come up next week, of how we're preparing for Atlanta and the show that we're both setting up at for Culture Collision. So just a little preparation, of how we're getting ready to stack the cards, stack the deck in our favor, hopefully.
Yeah, we can talk about that next week, right? It's a big show. We're prepping for a big show. How have we been doing it? But tickets, that's the theme for today. Thank you for sharing your pickups. I like that last MJ game at MSG. Something to think about.
Bro. And that one's currently in the mail, so I'll show that off on a future Crosstown cardboard when that comes in. And just enjoying this new lane of the hobby. And also pretty cool that you have done stuff with tickets too, and that you educated me once again and our audience as usual on some card sets that have tickets. So you're incorporating that into cards as well.
Exactly. Good stuff. I will see you next week, and I'll really see you in a week and a half.
That's right. All right, bro.
Peace.